Welcome to Bump Set Chat, the podcast where volleyball professionals come on and share their stories, experiences, and advice. Today on the podcast, I have Morgan Hentz. Welcome.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. Can't wait.
Excellent. So, we start the pod off with a few random questions. So the first one is, what is your favorite home cooked meal?
Favorite home cooked meal. I just love when my family grills out and we barbecue. Cheeseburgers, hot dogs, baked beans, all of that stuff.
Nice. Now, so you just said a word there, grill and barbecue at the same time. So I'm from Canada. We call it, we're going to have a barbecue. When we moved down here to New England, Connecticut, they call it grilling. So what do you guys call it back home in Kentucky?
I think it's pretty interchangeable for us.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any yeah. I think we use both.
All right. Yeah, because when I first said, hey, why don't you guys come over for a barbecue? It's like, what do you mean barbecue? It's grilling. It's like, oh, okay, all right. They looked at us funny.
That's
So,
funny.
all right. Now, what's your favorite? Second question: what is your favorite movie
Favorite movie? Oh gosh,
or TV show?
Oh, okay. TV show, The Office. I love it. It makes me giggle, it makes me laugh. If I had to pick a movie, Step Brothers. That's such a cheesy one. But also again, makes me laugh.
That interview scene where they're going in together, being interviewing, is so whacked.
It is. It really is. The whole movie is just whack.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, hey, welcome to the podcast. And first of all, how's the season going?
It's been going really well recently. We had a little bit of a slow start to the season, but we're currently on a 12-match winning streak. And it's just been really fun. We found our groove, we found our rhythm, and just looking forward to carrying that as we only have 2 more regular season games, and then we're headed to playoffs, which are in Vegas.
Nice. And earlier you mentioned you're from Kentucky, and so growing up in Kentucky, when did you first discover volleyball?
Yeah, I first started playing volleyball in 3rd grade. My grade school had a little team, a little rec team, and it was really just for fun then. And then around 6th and 7th grade, my best friends at the time, they were playing club volleyball, and they're like, Morgan, you got to give this club volleyball thing a try. My parents and I definitely didn't know what we were getting into with all the travel and all the tournaments, but I had a blast with it, and I think that's where my love for the game really started.
Nice. And now, going through club and high school, were you always a libero?
No, I was mostly an outside hitter growing up, and then once I made the transition into college, that's when I switched to being a libero.
Yeah. And then speaking of college, you ended at Stanford. What was your decision path and what made you pick Stanford?
Yeah, I went on a couple visits, Stanford being one of them. I just had the most wonderful time on my visit. The coaches were amazing, the players were amazing, and then the academics were just awesome. And then the campus itself had a wonderful feel to it. I could really see myself fitting in with the players on the team, and I knew that whether volleyball worked out or not, like that was a place where I was going to be happy. So it just really, really well balanced lifestyle for me. And my parents were like, you can't turn down this offer. So yeah, it was really the right decision for me.
Nice. And then during your career at Stanford, you had an amazing career, and you managed to have you guys won 3 national championships.
Yeah, I came in with a wonderful class. There were 6 of us in total. Um, Yeah, we were kind of goofballs. Luckily, we had some great leadership. One of those great leaders, jonaqu, and she just instilled a lot of belief in us and that we could do it. We could compete at the highest level. But yeah, over the course of my time at Stanford, we held ourselves to a super high standard, and we were just all in on it. Like we were committed. We knew that what we were capable of, and but at the same time, we had our laughs, and we played with a lot of joy. And those girls are some of my best friends to this day. Yeah, I found my second family in them.
Nice. And then, the other thing that we chatted a little bit earlier about is the fact that, coming into Stanford, you were an outside hitter and now you're a libero. Was that a big adjustment for you?
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment at first. I was like, oh, I can't contribute offensively at all. I miss being in the front row, but I realized that I could really contribute to the team in more ways than I thought at the libero position. I started calling out shots for my hitters as they were going up to hit. And I was able to focus really hard on my favorite part of the game, like defense. Um, and then I just was tuning my passing. I think that's like part of my game that I really grew in college. Um, but yeah, it was definitely an adjustment at first. I tried to convince my coach to let me play outside at one point my freshman year. But I also got to play beach volleyball at Stanford, so
Oh,
I felt
wow.
like I got some of that outside hitter that chance back in beach volleyball. So that was a nice balance for me.
Nice. And speaking of libero, what would you say the spirit animal of libero is?
I think a honey badger, just super gritty, wearing your heart on your sleeve, giving it all you got. It's about your attitude. And yeah, a little bit of selflessness too. Like what can you bring to the team? Because you can't always control the opportunities that you're getting in the game,
Yeah.
especially at the libero position. But you can help your teammates in a lot of ways. And it you really have to stay engaged. I think it's always my goal to keep the team focused and engaged and trying to play at the highest level possible. But I think that's always starts with good communication.
All right. And now looking back at Stanford, those, other than the championships, which were huge, what were some of the other memories that stick out for you?
I I love the locker room. I feel like I never laughed so hard in my life by being in the locker room. I don't just the most random conversations would happen. That and on travel trips. Um, yeah, I loved going to class. Our the campus was beautiful. I have very fond memories. Everyone biked around campus because it's so big.
Yeah.
Um, so there were a few wipeouts in there, but it was yeah. My favorite thing was just finding a little pocket on campus, getting a lunch, and then kind of like just being at peace, listening to music or studying. And yeah, there's endless places that you could sit and find a peaceful spot. My favorite is just it's called the Oval.
Hmm.
There's a bunch of palm trees leading up to it, and just big grass area that overlooks the main quad. It's some really beautiful buildings, but yeah, just being on campus. Uh, Everyone says you get stuck in the Stanford bubble when you're at school there, and I think that's very true.
And now, any young players listening to this right now, I mean, they have an opportunity, Stanford's, being offered as a choice for them. Why would they pick that school?
I think it's just a well balanced lifestyle. You fill up a lot of buckets in your life, and it's not just volleyball. As much as I love volleyball, and it's led me to a career path, um, I felt like a whole person. Which I know some athletes struggle feeling like their sport can be their whole identity. I never felt that way at school. When I was having a bad day with volleyball, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna pour my entire self into my schoolwork. Or when I wasn't doing the best at school, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pour myself into volleyball. Like they were just that's what I loved about school. And then you almost everyone stays on campus all 4 years, lives on campus. So when I needed to go see a friend, I just walk across campus and knock on their door and say hi. I think there's a really nice community aspect to the school as well, and the professors and any mentors or like academic advisors, they want to see you succeed and are willing to offer any resources to help you get there. So
Nice.
that's yeah, great community feel.
All right. And now, after college, pro was, next in line. But before we talk about your pro career, you were also represented Team USA. When did that show up on the radar for you?
Um, so I first started speaking with the former head coach, Coach Cry, towards the end of my senior year, just asking for an opportunity to come into the gym and compete. And there was supposed to be um, a spring training block for a lot of college kids that were soon to be graduating. And then COVID hit, and it was just kind of a
Oh,
bizarre time. So I got to go into the gym and train a little bit in the summer of 2020, but because of all the restrictions with COVID, it was mostly a lot of individual training, not like group sessions with 6-on-6.
yeah.
And there were no international competitions that summer either. So I just did some training briefly then, and then I headed overseas for my first professional year in Dresden, Germany.
Okay. And then you came back and ended up playing for Team USA as well, right? In the VNLs and whatnot?
Yeah, the first chance I got to put on a USA jersey and compete in VNL was 2022. So 2021, I had some injuries,
Yeah.
and also that was the year of the Olympics, and I definitely was not in the mix for that. There, we're yeah, definitely not in the mix for that. But yeah, so it was 2022 after they won their gold in Tokyo.
And now, what was that first time you step into that gym, the senior gym, and here they are, that team is there. When I had, and just a reference, I had Micah Christensen on, and he talked about that first time walking in. He was just grateful to be there and wiping up the sweat off the floor.
Yeah, it is. You're starstruck. You've just seen players that have competed at the highest levels in the world, and you're like, wow, like I'm in the same gym as them. This is crazy. Um, there's definitely an intimidation factor, just and your nerves are off the charts. I heard one former player talking about her first year, like in the gym, and she's just said, like, you just got to be yourself, be authentic to who you are. And I just kept pinching myself and reminding me, like, just be who you are and give it your all. And that's really all you can ask for from yourself. So I think that was probably some of the best advice I got in stepping into the USA gym.
Nice. And that do you remember that time you got the call saying, "Hey, you're going to go play, and here's your jersey."
Yeah, they so for VNL they make roster selections for each leg of VNL. So the first time I got the chance to travel, I thought it was really neat that the first travel trip was actually in the United States, and my dad actually got to come out and watch.
Oh, nice.
So that was a really special moment for me. It just being able to play in the States the first time I got to wear the USA jersey.
Yeah, very cool. And now, on the pro side, you said your first trip was Germany. What was that process like of, signing with a team and, getting over there? Was that like was Stanford able to help you with connections and whatnot, or were you really on your own?
Yeah, Kevin Hamley was awesome at kind of explaining what the professional landscape looked like, especially for my class when we were graduating. He gave us a list of agents that we could reach out to, have conversations with, and then if you're seeking out a team overseas, it's really important to find an agent because they have the connections and the network, uh, basically to just get you in front of coaches' eyes and teams' eyes. So I signed with an agent when I finished my senior year playing, and that agent helped me get connected with a team in Germany. Um, yeah, so it's pretty common for players to sign with an agent that's going to help just get your name get it in front of these important people that make the decisions for the teams.
Nice. And, how was that first year? I talked to a lot of players and they talk about that first year, a lot of unknown, a lot of loneliness because some players are there, you're in some locations where English isn't even a second language, and there's a lot of adjustments.
Yeah, so I went in August of 2020 to Germany. So right in the heart of COVID,
Oh, God.
it was a really bizarre time. There's just like tons of restrictions across the world about like what you could do, what you were allowed to do. So it was a ton of just volleyball and back to my apartment, volleyball back to my apartment. So I did kind of lost a little bit of that balance that I talked about at school, like
Yeah.
feeling like I was a full person. And yeah, it was definitely isolating. Like you're in a brand new environment, you don't speak the first language, and you're wearing a mask, and the only thing that we could go out and really do was go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful that all the German girls on my team were super kind and they spoke almost perfect English. So I was able to communicate and connect with them, and they were really welcoming and just very helpful in adjusting to the different lifestyle. But I just always felt like a piece of my life was missing when I was playing over or just played overseas for
Yeah.
that one year. I didn't get to see my family and friends for 9 months. Um, I mean, FaceTime is obviously an option and phone calls and
Right.
texting, but it's not quite the same. You miss Thanksgiving, you miss Christmas, some major holidays. And I just felt like my life I was putting on hold in the US. And that was the biggest thing. Like it was really hard to see with social media. I know it can be deceiving, but just seeing your friend and family's lives like kind of continue on. And I don't know, I just felt like my life was put on hold while I was abroad. So um, when I heard about these US leagues popping up, I was like, oh my God, yep, this is it. This is it for me. Like, this is what I really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when I think Kavika Shoji was on, he's talked about, the pro, you think of a pro athlete, it's not all rainbows and unicorns, especially for the pro volleyball player. It is, it's not all, what you look at the NBA or whatnot or the NHL players. It's a different level of pro.
Yeah, I mean, for a while, the only opportunity, and for men, the only opportunity is to go overseas and play, and I hope that changes in the near future. But now for the women, they have the option to stay in the U.S. and play or go overseas. And sometimes people have fantastic overseas experiences. They think they're in a wonderful city, well taken care of, and they get to have that adventure. They get to go explore a brand new country. But for me, I I I didn't want that adventure.
Yeah.
Like I just I feel like a whole person when I'm around my family. And yeah, I think I probably would have been done if there weren't these US
Yeah.
leagues popping up. So yeah, it's definitely not all rainbows and butterflies, and there are definitely sacrifices that have to be made. And for those who have done it year after year, I am always extremely impressed by them and just the mental fortitude that they've had throughout their careers.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You like you said, you miss the Thanksgivings, special moments of your family. And if you're a close knit family, that's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely hard.
And then, so before PVF, you were part of Athletes Unlimited.
Yeah, I'm still competing with them. It's wonderful because they are uh, their league just takes place in the fall, and I get an opportunity to play in two different leagues, which is really fun, and it keeps me playing all year round. Yeah, I started, so after I finished in Germany, I played with Athletes Unlimited to begin with. The first that was their second season, and I got to go to Dallas, Texas to play there. And I loved it. I felt like it kind of rekindled my love for the game. The players were wonderful, and just I don't know, it's fun. It's a really it's a non-traditional format for a league. There's 44 players, four teams, 11 players on each team, and your team changes week to week. Your stats on the volleyball court correlate to points, and
Mm-hmm.
that puts you on a leaderboard 1 through 44. And the top four statistical point leaders get to draft a team for the week. So, and that changes week by week who might be captain. And if you stay up there, you're a captain all the time. But it's basically captain slash coach. And then you get assigned a facilitator to help guide you or to help run the team
Yeah.
if you need that assistance.
That is cool. Yeah, must be so hard because every week you're playing with a different group of people.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a lot harder than it was, but it was just fun.
Yeah.
Like I was like, wow, my first year, I think almost played with everyone, which I loved. I was like, okay, I just made 43 new friends. Like,
Right.
this was awesome. And it was a great learning experience for me because all these set players have competed for years, like tons of professional experience. And I feel like I learned something from every single one of them. So just to play with that high level competition and to learn from those players, I think really helped me grow as an athlete.
Yeah. Then, the PVF showed up on the radar. When did you first get wind of it?
I heard of PVF starting in the fall of 2022. I think I spoke with Jen first, and just hearing about their vision when they wanted to get started. And they just had the ball rolling. Yeah, I was like, wow, this sounds fantastic and a dream come true. So I really wanted to be a part of it, and was just really excited at the opportunity of playing professionally here in the States.
Yeah, when Jen was on, Jen Spiker, she said you and Tori Dilfer and Ronica were instrumental in getting the players on. But she did say that, when she first asked you, it was a straight up no from you, and she said to ask you about that story.
Yeah, at first I didn't really. I was just like, what is going on? Like, I don't. Yeah, I was definitely skeptical of it at first. only because of the quick timeline. It
Yeah.
was like, we're going to start in January 2024. They're announcing late fall of 2022. I was like, there's a lot of pieces that have to come together um, for this to get off the ground. And then I actually went to Detroit or right outside of Detroit, Jen's hometown, where she used to coach club at. I think it's Monster Volleyball Club. And she asked me to do a little camp there, and I was like, sure, why not? And then I got to sit down, have dinner with her, and she was able to explain some of the more logistics of the league. And I was like, okay, yeah, they've got this, they've got it all lined up. Like I really believe in the product that they're trying to put out there. And I was like, yeah, I'm convinced now.
And now, when you started reaching out to other players, did it take a lot of convincing, or were they, the ones overseas like, yeah, let's go?
I think there was a good mix. I think basically when I reached out to players, I just started with like, hey, would you want to hear more about the league? And almost everyone's answer was yes. Like, I just want to hear more information. Basically, kind of like what I had thought at the beginning. Like, I want to know what tangible steps are being taken for this league to actually get off the ground. And so it was me, Tori, Ronica, and Jenna Rosenthal's goal to try to push people to just jump on a call with Jen because she was the mastermind behind it all and was able just to put out a really great pitch. So we just pushed them to get on a Zoom call with her. And then after she kind of went through a PowerPoint presentation, they were able to ask questions to her. And there was just a lot of excitement, especially for the players that had been playing a couple years overseas. They're like, oh my, like, they're like, I didn't think this would be a reality. I'd love to learn more and potentially come home to play.
Yeah. Yeah. I had Berkeley Oblat on, and she was telling me like how excited she was to play in her hometown. It's
Yeah.
just such a great feeling for these women.
Yeah. Yeah. There's several players that are getting to play back in their home state this year. Like, especially, I think there were a lot of indie girls from Indiana. So to have that team in Indy is really awesome. But yeah, just not everyone's goal is to go overseas. So it's awesome to have the option. Like,
Hmm.
you can have that adventure overseas if you want, or you can stay in the US and be close to family and friends. It's just awesome to have options now.
Yeah. And now, being that in that first season, that first practice, you guys are all getting together. It must have been like, first of all, some sort of a homecoming for a lot of these players who've been overseas, and now they're getting to play with, their friends in the States.
Yeah, yeah. There was a ton of excitement. I think just the start of a league, it's like a startup company. So I appreciate that a lot of players like we're just like, yeah, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm willing to give the league grace. Like, as we work through logistics, we were kind of like guinea pigs. But at the end of the day, like, the league just had the players best in mind. They really want it's a player led league, like player focused. And yeah, they really wanted what was best for us. So I appreciate all the feedback that they wanted to hear feedback from the players. They said, how can we make changes and adjustments that are good for you guys? Like, what do we need to fix? And those conversations are happening throughout the entirety of the season. And just going into season 2 already this year, all I have to think about is volleyball. I
Nice.
don't, it's not like feedback I'm giving. I'm like, they've made all the changes that we asked for. And not that any of them were huge changes. That might have just been as simple as, can we get a bike on the sideline at the game to help
Right.
somebody warm up? Can we get a clock in the locker room to know when we're supposed to run out? Like, really simple things. So I appreciate just how willing the league was to just put us in mind first.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, what were those first couple of games like? Because you didn't have any tape really on the other teams. You guys are right, going in
Yeah.
blind.
Yeah. The first, I kind of like that because you get sometimes so nitpicky in scouting, and then a great player does something different, and everyone's like, what happens? They're supposed to do this. So it was kind of fun just to almost go back to high school and club days where you don't do that as much. Um, yeah, it was. And Atlanta got to actually play in the first ever PVF match, and that was in Omaha, which is definitely the loudest environment that you're ever going to play in
Yeah.
PVF. Like, a wonderful fan base in Nebraska. Yeah, to be a part of that first game, and we went 5 sets with them. It was a really exciting game to be in, and it just going in, I had the goosebumps and chills the whole time. Just, I'm like, yeah, it just felt unreal, but like so fun.
And now I'm curious about this. Does the locker room feel similar to college just because of all of the American players that are there?
Yeah, it definitely feels similar to college, but I think there are some fantastic international players that helped elevate the level of play in the league. The experience that they brought like is definitely visible on the court. But yeah, it does have a similar feel to college. The camaraderie and the community feel, I think, is still the same.
Yeah. And speaking of those international players and even, the long-term veterans, are there war stories in the locker room? Like, girls,
Mm.
you don't know how bad it was. This is awesome when you got the rookies there.
Yeah, well, we actually had a player this year come in a little bit late. She's American. Her name is Micaiah White. Fantastic player. Played at University of Texas. Has had a storied career. Played overseas for a couple years, and she came back and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys better be grateful for this." Like kind of thing. Like just like in our locker room, we have lockers. Like we have like mirrors in our lockers. Like just some things that you might take for granted. But she's like, she was a great like reminder. Like, hey, enjoy this. Like this is really special. So I appreciate her perspective and her, especially for some players that just graduated from college and then went right into PVF, like, and like they just didn't know the difference,
Right.
like so. Yeah, to have her perspective, I think was really great.
Nice. And now, talk a little. Let's talk a little bit about your playing style, your game itself. For you, are there any pregame rituals you have? Do you need to have a certain meal? Listen to certain music.
Not really. I think I used to be a little bit more ritual oriented in college, almost probably superstitious. Where I'd have to like wear the same headband, the same like ponytail holder, or like eat the same meal. And now I felt like that just got so stressful, like trying to do the same things before every game. And you're never in the same environment. Something crazy is going to be thrown your way. And I felt like in college when that happened, I'd feel disrupted or I don't know, just kind of like off. But now I think going in with a different mindset and just being like, hey, nothing's ever going to be the same. Like you're going to have changes and being ready to adjust to those. It makes me feel more at peace and more at ease going into matches. The one thing I really do like to do before a game is journal a little bit, just talking about the mindset that I want to have going into a match, what I want to bring going into the game, um, and then just how I want to show up as a teammate.
Yeah.
But that's the one consistent thing I've been doing.
All right. And now for you, when you have a couple of bad plays, what is your go-to to reset, refocus?
Yeah, in the match, I love the show Ted Lasso, and he talked about the goldfish
Mm-hmm.
mindset, which is just basically having short term memory loss. And I think that's perfect for volleyball because there's so many mistakes that happen in the game of volleyball. No one's ever played a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I think the idea of perfection should just be thrown out the window. And yeah, so when I made a couple mistakes, I like forget about it. And then you can go back, watch film after the match, critique yourself, then give yourself an hour to mourn your bad plays, and
Yeah.
then you got to let it go. So, but like in the match, it's just forward thinking, because if I get caught up in it, I'm gonna miss the next play, and it's just gonna keep piling up on top of one another. So just short term memory loss for me, and how can I contribute to my teammates who might be playing well, and if I take the focus off of myself and put it on the team, and what I can do to contribute to the team, even if that's just what I'm communicating, not necessarily like how I'm performing. That typically helps me get out of my head.
Yep. Excellent. And now for those sneakerheads out there, what shoes are you playing in?
Um, I like wearing the Nike, the volleyball. Here, I actually have them right here.
There
Um,
we go.
yeah, this is my shoe. They're Hyper Aces, I
Yep.
believe. Hyper Ace 2. Um, yeah, that's my favorite. I feel like they're lightweight, but also really supportive laterally, which is, I think, important for a Libero.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, for you looking back on your whole career, who's been, who's been sort of a mentor for you or a, coach that's really helped you get to where you are?
Yeah, for me, it's my parents, my mom and my dad. They've supported me in my entire career, and I'm pretty hard on myself. So like even like in college when we'd win games and I was dissatisfied with my performance, I'd call them and be like, "What was I doing?" Like, and they were just so patient with me. And yeah, I can't believe they put up with me playing volleyball for so long. But yeah, they're my rock, and I feel like they've always given the best advice, and that like, hey, you don't have to be doing this. This is just for fun. Like at
Hmm.
this point, I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. There are things in the world that are far more difficult. Like this is a choice, and you might as well enjoy it because it's a wonderful opportunity. And yeah, yeah, they're my role models too. I feel like they've instilled great moral values for myself. Yeah, I just look up to them a lot.
All right. And now, speaking of advice, for those college players that may be coming into the PVF next season, what kind of advice do you have for them?
I just think give yourself grace as you're adjusting, like we had talked about earlier, the adjustment from high school to college volleyball. The speed of the game is faster, the physicality is more. So I think that's just it's the same when you're transitioning from college to pro, and just giving yourself time to adjust to that, and just being open to learning and growing still.
All right. And I had a couple of questions that, may help the younger players out there. For you, what have been some of the little things that have made you a better passer over the years?
Yeah, I think for passing, part of it, a huge part of it is just mindset. So I like to think stay aggressive in passing. When I'm aggressive, I get my platform out there early. I'm making a strong angle and move to the ball, therefore creating good spacing between my platform and body. When my platform gets tight to my body, that's when I start to lose control and the ability to create angles on a ball that's floating and moving around. So my biggest thing is to stay aggressive and then just repping it out a ton in practice. The I like to think about the phrase like your preparation, like how you prepare is probably how you play. So if I can prepare as much as possible in practice, like I'm going to feel a lot better going into a match. So getting those extra reps if I need them.
All right. And then one other thing that, I'd like to get your take on is something I see, especially with the girls playing in club and high school, is that chest high ball that's coming at them. Often they don't have the strength to take it over. And then, what's your advice for them to, try to receive and pass that tough ball that's coming in, step back, drop your shoulders up, or, just work on getting your overhand strength up?
Yeah, I think I've always heard pick a side. Pick a side, like instead of like taking that step just straight
Mm-hmm.
back, like take a lateral step to get out of the way of it and to still allow you to maintain that space between your body and platform. But if you have the hands that are strong enough, like I don't mind. Like I think it's important to learn how to take it over you because every once in a while you're gonna have a ball that floats up on you. And if you have the hands that are strong enough, you can chuck it up there. Like
Yep.
you can't be passive with it. You have to really like go forward and put your whole body into it. Like just men are naturally a little bit stronger taking balls overhand. But if it's something that you train and you know how to do, I recommend doing that as well. So it's kind of whatever fits you best as a passer to take the lateral step, get out of the way of it instead of just that one drop step back, or to really step into it and take it with hands.
Nice. All right. And now, a couple of fun questions here. Eric showed you on a while ago, and him and Taylor have this what's the toughest position in volleyball? So, Morgan, what's the toughest position in volleyball?
I think middle. I think it's like a dance that they're doing up there. The reading that they're doing in terms of setter, having to make these really strong big block moves, and then run off the net as fast as possible and get up in transition. Like I just think there's a lot of movement going on up there, and I think if I was up there, I'd be pretty lost.
All right. And now, on the tail end of that, or the flip side of that, I had Christian Huron, who's a PME guy, and he started a question, what's the easiest position in volleyball? So, Morgan, what's the easiest position?
I wouldn't say there's an easy position in volleyball.
There you go.
I'm not going to throw anyone under the
Nope.
bus there. I mean, I could say what I think the most fun position is. I mean, if I got to pick another position, I'd pick opposite
Yep.
because I love that you get to play defense,
Mm-hmm.
like, and that you get to, especially in the international game, you're getting a ton of sets. I
Yeah.
just think that's so fun. So you get to play defense and then you get to go up and take a crack at the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And now one more fun question. If you could change or remove any rule in volleyball, what rule would you change?
Um, well, I would like for Liberos to be able to serve internationally. So I would say that.
Yeah, there we go. Excellent. And now, away from the court, what are some of the things you enjoy doing?
I have a dog, so I love spending time with him. We like to go swimming a lot. He's a golden retriever, so I call ourselves the river rats now because there's the Chattahoochee River. It's pretty close here in Atlanta, and there's a really nice dog park there that we both go kind of swimming in. Most of the time, it's just me chasing after him. Um, I like going on walks with him, and then I love spending time with my family and friends, especially at home in Kentucky. Um, I love listening to music, and I love to read. I feel like now that I don't have school, I have a lot of downtime to read. So most of the time, it's just fantasy or romantic comedies, but anything that's a nice little escape. And yeah, again, I like listening to music as well.
Nice. And what's your current book you're reading then?
I'm trying to get into the series. It's called Throne of Glass
Mm-hmm.
series. So yeah, I've heard I'm actually doing it with a couple of old Stanford teammates. It's a way for us to kind of stay connected, even though we're nowhere close to each other.
Oh, and name of your dog.
His name's Ollie.
Nice. All right. Well, Morgan, thank you so much for doing this pod. I really appreciate you coming on. But before you go, like with past guests, I look for you to recommend somebody else in your volleyball circle.
Ooh. Okay. She's my best friend. And I think she's just a fantastic, an amazing. She's a middle blocker, so you get to hear from the
All
hardest
right.
position. Her name's Anna Stevenson Hall. She just finished up her season with League One in Madison,
Mm-hmm.
and she's competed in the national team gym. And I just think she has fascinating perspective on volleyball, and she's an extremely hard worker. So
Nice.
I would recommend her.
All right. Now is she gonna go, Morgan, damn you?
No, she loves doing these things. So
Excellent.
I think yeah, she's just got finished up with her season two, and I think she would be happy to do it.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me
All
on.
right.